Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Daniel Stewart, DSYD Films, Books, and Music. Determined success yields destiny. Today, I am talking about my journey as a musician. What I've gone through pretty much to get to where I'm here today, but kind of just telling you about things that you might not know about the journey, right? So let's get into it. So I started out in this group called AJL. That stands for Add Joy to Learning. It was led by a woman named Audrey Levine. And this woman, she was amazing because she had a disability. She was blind. And she created this group for inner city youth. Basically kids from the hood, right? And it's a creative group. It was like an after school program. So this particular group gave me actually my first performance. And it was something that I needed, you know? And it was probably about 20, 25 kids in the group, and we all had different things we did, whether it was singing, rapping, producing, dancing. I think some people did art, I don't know, but we were all creative. And June 6th, 2002, that was my first performance ever. And that's thanks to Audrey Levine in the AJL program. So that was step one, you know. That was like chapter one. But even before that, I remember when I was on the block in the hood. And before I started singing, I was actually a rapper. And the guys from the block, we were in a cypher and in rapping and stuff like that. And then some kind of way it shifted, and they were like, well, somebody must have started singing, and someone was like, well, you can't sing. And they was like, I sing better than you sing. So finally it got to me to sing. And little did my friends know, I wasn't really too shy to sing, because I would always do that in my house, right? So actually when they finally got to me, it was like I couldn't wait for my turn. It was like my time to come out. Like, you know. So I ended up singing. I think I sung the Jodeci, a Jodeci song. And yeah, so after that day, it was pretty much like I was just like addicted to singing. You know, it was like I needed more, I needed more, I needed more. And truth is, actually in high school, I struggled in high school. And I ended up having to go to an alternative high school. But the positive thing about that is that if I would have never went to that alternative high school, I would have never ran into the AJL program, because that's where I found out about this program. And I believe it changed my life. I remember doing this open mic, and I was number 17 on the list, right? And when I got there, I didn't know everyone was gonna do 2 songs a piece, right? So I sat there patiently waiting for my turn, person after person after person, song after song. And it was a full house. But I noticed as each artist would do their song, they would leave. Not only would they leave, their supporters would leave with them. So people weren't staying. So I felt like this particular incident built a lot of endurance for me. And it was like a defining moment, right? Like, am I going to quit? Because I had a choice. Just go home, leave this venue, get out of there, retreat, or stay and perform. So basically, I made a decision right there. I was going to stay and I was going to perform, right? So we finally get to me, and I noticed everyone is mostly gone. It's just about 3 to 4 people left. The DJ, myself, I think another person, and like the janitor or somebody, you know. You know, and I'm like, they're like, you want to do this? You going to perform? Like, yeah, I'm going to perform. I ain't come this far and wait this long not to perform. I'm going to perform. Somebody going to hear me sing tonight. I don't care if it's just the rats in the back of the building. Somebody's going to hear me sing. So, you know, yeah, that was a defining moment for myself, because I ended up doing it, and I felt very fulfilled, you know. I think if I would have left and not did it, it would always been like this thought in my mind, like, what if there was someone in the audience, like my opportunity, because you never know when you're gonna run into the right people, right? So I was glad that I pushed through that and I did it, and I just sung with all my might and didn't care, you know. And I just remember at the end of it, they were pretty proud of me that I stuck it out and you know, encouraged me to keep going, not to quit and give up. Because I don't know, like, what decisions we make kind of like, they kind of what's the word, it can become like a pattern, you know, like, hey, I quit here, I quit there, and all of a sudden you become a quitter, you know. So I was happy to stick that out and persevere through that, and it really put, I guess, like some fight in me to really like not quit so easy. Yeah, so another time was when I did a show, and I really thought that I rocked this show. I mean, I was up, you know, as a performer, you're taught to cover the whole stage, right? Cover the left side, cover the right, go in the crowd if you have to. So I was like, yeah, all right, I'm doing it. I'm doing all that, you know? And then finally, my performance was over. I thought I did a great job. So finally, someone comes on right after me. And I hear that this guy is like a American Idol, a former American Idol finalist. And I'm like, okay, so this guy is going to come on stage, and I'm like, all right, let's see what he had. What can he do? So this American Idol finalist, former American Idol finalist, comes up, and I'm thinking he's gonna rock the stage too. Like, let's see how he covers the left and the right of the stage. Let's see how he does all that in the performance and the theatrics and the. This guy comes up and he sits down. He sits down at the piano and he starts to play. And he starts to sing, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, this, you know, this sounds very, like, beautiful. This is beautiful. Like, he shocked me. I'm like, this dude sat down and just played the piano, and he sung, and then I think at the end he hits a falsetto note, and I'm like, I got burnt, basically. And the one thing that stood out was he could do something that I could not do. He could play the keys. That bothered me. What happened was, towards the end of the show, someone asked the question. They said, who did you think was better tonight? And honestly, I couldn't say myself. I said if I wasn't the best, then I was the closest one to the best after that. You know, but that wasn't good enough. That sat with me and bothered me. That led me to reach out to my Uncle Butch. Now, before I reached out to him, I didn't really know my uncle that well. I just knew he's my father's brother. He's a great jazz musician. He plays instruments and stuff like that. So I was desperate. I felt desperate. And mind you, let's be honest about where I was. I was tired of just hanging around in the hood, seeing friends get in trouble and different stuff like that. I felt like I didn't really know where I belong, you know? So I knock on my uncle's door. Doom, 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 doom. It's me, Daniel. We come in, we have a talk, you know? I guess this is me coming in, like, becoming a man in a way, like, not letting someone talk for me. So I just come to talk to my uncle, and I say, listen, I want to learn how to play. He tells me, well, yeah, I'll teach you, no problem. But you're going to have to sit by me in church. So I'm like, okay, you know, I really want this. I'll sit by you in church. I'll go ahead and do this. Because you know, I grew up in church, but, you know, I wasn't really about it, you know. So I agreed. So I have to say that was the best decision I ever made in my life. It totally changed my life. Blessed me spiritually. Blessed me as a musician. Like, I started just picking stuff up like a sponge, you know. He showed me something and I just spit it right back, you know, and like I'm learning about the B flat major 7 sharp 9s and all kind of different chords, right? So where at that time I was actually going to school for audio engineering. So when I got in school, I started excelling in the music part. Not so much technology, but in the music part, in composing class. I'm getting A+. Teachers is wondering, how are you doing these things? How do you know this stuff? You know? And it was thanks to my uncle. And I also got to give a shout out to my brother Ron, right? He would give me lessons. So saying yes to playing by my uncle in church was the best decision I ever made in my life. So back to Mercy College, right? Man, I had such a great experience going there. Initially, you know, I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school. So naturally, I just followed my brother, Mike, right? He wanted to go to school for music and technology. I didn't know what to do with myself. So I say, I'll go to school for music and technology, you know, just ride the bandwagon or whatever. All right, he's doing it, I'll do it. I really loved the music part, but I didn't quite like the technology part so much. I didn't want to be a mix engineer. I didn't want to do all of that, but I enjoyed composing. I enjoyed the MIDI class and doing stuff like that. That's where I really excelled the most, but not really like the whole technology, the mixing and the DBs and I do that, you know, but in school I didn't really excel. So my brothers were definitely big influences on me musically. You know, my brother Ron, he would always ask me growing up, "You wanna learn how to play?" I say, "No, no, no, no. I'm working on my shot right now. I'm playing ball." You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, nah, nah. But I wish I would have listened because I wouldn't have to work so hard, you know. And my brother Mike, he's skillful in many areas, you know. So I just I just like a sponge, you know. He had Pro Tools, he had Reasons, they had Logic, they had all these programs. They making the beats. So I'm like, all right, let me make the beats too, you know? So it was always in my face, you know, and he had his rap group and I just start hanging around and learning different terminologies and different things like that, not knowing really that I was going to be an artist, you know. Um, it was like around 17 years old. I didn't know I was going to be an artist, but I would just hang around that stuff. I knew I loved singing, but you know, I wasn't sure how to be an artist. But as I kept hanging around, you know, and learning the terminologies and stuff like that, it rubbed off on me for the long run. I mean, I became so passionate about it. Yeah, so I started taking private lessons for a season. I wanted to learn how to read music, right? One day, playing in church, I'm not sure if he want me to shout him out, so I'm not gonna say. I'm just gonna say the first initial of his name. This guy wanted to see me grow so bad musically, right? So he says, "Hey, young man, you know, I'm going to invest in you." So he gives me a certain amount of money to take private lessons. This is my brother G. So thank you, brother. And he invested in me. So I had people investing in me. My uncle, people from the church, my brothers. I had school. I'm taking private lessons. Like, this started around age 20, 21. And now I'm 38, you know? And I never stopped learning. You know what I'm saying? I never stopped learning. Like a lot of people, they just know me from playing basketball, scraping ankles, dunking, stuff like that. But they didn't know I was developing a passion for music, you know? So this is all part of the journey. I mean, like, I had so much training, you know? And let's be very honest. Let's be very, Stephen A. Smith, let's be very clear. I hit a lot of bad notes singing, right? I've hit a lot of bad notes. Hit a lot of bad notes playing. But it was all the developmental process that can't be skipped. And to be honest, you know, I didn't see it as the developmental process. It was just like, I want to be better. It was step your game up. When that guy got on the piano and he played so beautifully and sung so beautifully, it was a step your game up moment for me, right? I could have stayed mediocre and where I was and just be comfortable. Yeah, I'm gonna rock the stage. But nah, I started developing myself and learning how to play, singing in the choir. You know what I'm saying? Singing in the choir. So for about 6 years, like singing in the choir, playing and all that. That was the developmental process. And you can't really trade that for anything. That's priceless. It's something you look back on and you say, I'm thankful. So where am I at today? Okay, well, let's back up a bit. About 12 years ago, a friend of mine, we were working on something. He said, hey D, your song Fly Away. I'm like, yeah, what, you know, like, what about it or whatever? He's like, it has 2 million views. But that wasn't really even like the biggest part of it. The biggest part is someone else used my song. Somebody I don't even know. And they used it for a Transformers trailer. Now, it wasn't an official Transformers trailer. It was just someone that, I guess they did their own video edit, but used my song, Fly Away. And it did 2 million views. Soon after that, like when I went back to school for film, I started to get some checks in the mail. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, that's a rent check. That's another rent check. That's a rent check. And I was, you know, it was just like a blessing, a blessing moment. And I believe, you know, that came from that. And so that's just a moment that was very special to me. Today was just, I guess it was just story time today, you know, and me talking about my journey as a musician, and maybe some of my story can help somebody out there. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay connected, and stay tuned for more content. I'm going to be putting out stuff every week. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your boy, Young Decent. 1.